I can see a lot of IP that's useful. Second, I don't want to do it at the beginning because my IP will never make it, and I have only 20 years to go, and my IP will die, and I will never make a penny out of it. I'm a private guy. I have a research center that's private research center. So if I don't make money, nobody pays me at the end of the month. So it's very important that my research has to pay back. Okay, my talk today is going to be my experience a little bit. Few basic, because I understand a lot of people want to know a little bit about how do you start a startup. Then I thought I will talk a little bit about the fourth industrial revolutions, where we are going, why we are doing, at least think, and my conclusion. It all started for me here. In the middle, somewhere next to my village is called Al-Muayyar. It's next to Gurt. For some of you, Algeria is very big. For some of you that do not know geography very well, the west of Europe all fits inside Algeria. So just to give you a reference of scale. So that place is about 600 kilometers from Algeria, so 700. Anyway, this is where I grew up. This was my village. Why am I saying this? It's absolutely, I'm not trying to tell you a little bit about, brag about where I come from, whatever. It's, you don't see any electricity. I grew up, I have never seen it. I never knew that electricity existed until I was 12. We did not have even running water. No fridge, no internet. Absolutely, I was happy. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was running around. Some of us probably had a tire and we played with the tire running around. That's the extent of our. Sound is not getting there? Huh? It's okay? Okay. This is the extent of technology that I got to. That's my phone at that time. So that's where I started. Then from there, I did my high school in the southern part of Algeria. Then I went to Jamiat Hawari Boumediene. I did my PhD, my master degree there. Oh, not master, it's just a bachelor degree. Bachelor degree. I did my bachelor. Why I put the two pictures? I did my bachelor there, Hawari Boumediene. Then I went to Stanford. I did 2 masters and did a PhD there, solar energy and all that stuff. I like to equate with stories during my process because I think stories are more important than what you learn in life. When I was doing my master's degree, I arrived, I had nothing, I didn't know very much, so I was taking a class of, 1980 class of fiber optics. Nobody knows what fiber optics. They gave us this fiber, I say, put the light here, but I looked at it and I say, this thing has no future. So I quit. So tell you how much I predict things. So I quit and I switched to solar energy. So then I went to Stanford. Why I have the two pictures is, what's the difference between the two? What did I learn from one? What did I learn from the other one? I did not learn very much from Stanford, the X and Y's and all these and the equations. I knew all of them when I came from Algeria. When I went to Stanford, I learned how to do applied stuff. I did a lot of labs and things, and I just got into it. But the main one was in my last year, I was doing my PhD. Then I had these 2 students that are working with me, and they came and tell me, okay, Bلقاسم, we want to do a startup. Never heard of the word startup at that time. It was not even lexicon at that time. We do a startup, and I go, a startup, what the hell it is? They go, yeah, we do this company, and we work on it, and we sell it. And I go, no. They go, you're going to be the CTO, you're good in technology, and we run it, the marketing and all this. And I said, no. I signed with the Algerian government, I have to go back and teach. So that was my contract. So a year later, I ran into these guys, and they had a company. And a few years later, they had a company, and they were selling CVD equipment and they were selling it to everybody. They sold the company for about $100 million. It's not the money that bothers me. What bothers me is these guys believed in me more than I believed in myself. They knew I could do things, and I did not know I could do it. I looked at it, it's like, they taught us in Algeria, you go, you study, you come back, and you teach. That's it. And that, the lights lit in my head. There is something wrong with what I have been studying. We don't study to go and teach. We study to go and learn how to create things, help the society. Some of us will go and teach, definitely. You need. That's what I learned from Stanford. It's believing in yourself, learning the process how to do a company. So I went and started to understand what the startup and how you do business plan and how you do that. So I did that. So from there, I decided to go and I will try some of the highest R&D centers. So I joined the IBM Research Center, Watson Research Center in New York. I worked for a couple of years. I always tell a story about when I went to IBM. It's one of the best research centers I've seen in the world by far. And one day I was coming out and they have these offices, like it's a long lab. They have offices, and the next office next to me, I looked at his name and almost fell down. It's called Professor Mandelbrot. You know the guy who created the fractals theory? That was my neighbor. And I could not turn left for a week or two. I always turn right because I was afraid they will ask me a question. It turned out he's absolutely a marvelous guy. We became really good friends. He's absolutely, I enjoyed, it stimulates you that you walk with people that are bigger than life. They're next to you, and they're like you. So you want to live up to them. And that's what I'm telling you, the stories is to know that you're like anybody else. Just figure out, I come from the middle of the Sahara Desert. I mean, I don't think, guys, you started this low. You started all better than I did. So from there, after IBM, I decided I go back to Algeria to teach. And that's because I have a military service like everybody in Algeria. So I returned to Algeria to do military service. On arrival, they gave me afu, ma'fu. So I told them we couldn't tell me that one ahead of time before I arrived. Saved me the trip. So I decided to teach anyway. So I started teaching 3 months. I taught only 3 months. Jamiat Biskra. I taught 3 months. Unfortunately, in my case, the civil war erupted in Algeria. And I lived 120 kilometers away from the university, so I could not. It was making a little bit not safe. Guess what I did? I have, people know who I am, so I got a job in Japan. So I became the head of research at the NEC Research Lab. So I started working there. I worked for NEC R&D Center, doing application of laser in microelectronics. And it's funny, in my contract it was I have to put 6 patents a year required. And I always like to tell jokes, it's part of my life. I think it makes it makes you not to take yourself too serious. One time, 2 months passed and I didn't put a patent. So my boss came to me and he goes, well, they call Habasan, the Japanese. Habasan, where is the patent? 2 months passed and you did not. And I told him. And there they give us $100 for every patent application we put. So I told him, look, I'll give you $100 and I don't put the patent. He told me, no, we give you $100 if you put a patent. I said, you understand, I give you $100 if I don't. So it turned out that he never got the joke. For 10 years, we kept running that show, and he could never get us. Anyway, so 10 years, I spent 6 years there. It was really good. I learned quite a bit on the technology in Japan. How to develop technologies, how to work in the Japanese society, what makes Japan different from the US, all that stuff. Then finally, I decided I'd go back to the US. I went back in 96. And in 96, I decided, okay, I'm in Silicon Valley. I mean, that's the heart of technology. If I have to go and work only for somebody, that absolutely, I missed the boat. I have to put things to work. So it's no more big companies. NEC is a big company. IBM is a big company. There's 100,000, whatever. So let me startups. Let's do the startups. I started. So the first one, I joined with a group of people, and we do a startup. Those are the people that used to be in IBM with me before. So we started the startup. And OK, here started the technology. I will start talking about technology a little bit. What was our business plan? I mean, we faked it a little bit. We faked it. We said, OK, guys, our business plan, if you remember, guys, the phone was so big, long time ago. So you hold it like a brick. So our business plan was we're going to develop a technology that we miniaturize it. And if you miniaturize it, it becomes small. And if it's small, everybody will use one. We really didn't know that. We just thought it will happen. So, but if we solve that one, so they gave us $30 million and said, go and solve it. So we solved the problem. And the phone becomes small. And guess what? Every one of you is paying me. So everybody in the world is paying for the phone. 100% of every electronic product that sells in the world is using our IP. And everybody pays us. So it pays if you think about good technologies. Don't downplay yourself. Risk big. Do things, and if it doesn't work, you go back and work for some other companies. Life is short to just keep repeating the same thing. You really need to snap out of it like, yeah, let me lose a couple of years of my life. It might lead somewhere. Don't be afraid of, see, you cannot make an omelet unless you break the eggs. It's absolutely, you have to break the eggs. You have to risk it. Some risk, try it, especially if you are getting out of school. That's when the time you do it. I know at a certain age you have families, you have kids, and your mortgage, and all this become more difficult. Anyway, so that company, we started that company, then I will come back to that company a little bit because I'm still there. I headed the R&D, and I still had the R&D in that company up to today. So we have about 6,000 patents right now. It's an R&D center, a private R&D center. And we are only about 5 or 6 that do the R&D, and the rest of the people, they take this idea. And so you can imagine, I never touch anything that I don't think it's going to bring money. It's absolutely imperative. I don't have time to waste. Because I'm spending money, somebody has to pay my mortgage, pay me and pay everybody else. So I will come back to this company later on. Then I moved on from there. I worked a couple of years, and I decided, no, let me do. You see, you have this itch of doing something else. So I quit from there, and I joined Rambus. At that time was trying to develop new technologies, and they need the technology that we are using. So I jumped there. New memories called the RDRAM, and that was the memory required for the PlayStation 2 and 3. So I was designing PlayStation 2 and 3 at that time, so I was lucky to be designing that. So after I finished the design there, I don't stay too long to get the money too bad. I'm the more R&D guy, so I skipped a lot of money in my way. Then I quit. I said, no, I have another idea. I'm going to do something else. Get another guys and jumped in and went, and in fact, I tell you another story. Stories tend to stick better to people of why I do them. I went to do my taxes. I remember it was April 15th, one day before taxes. I go to this tax man. It's an old man. He's about 80. He's doing my taxes. Very nice guy, my neighbor. He's doing my tax, and I tell him, just I want to ask you, what is the thing that you regret the most on your life? And he stopped doing my taxes, and he told me, you know what the thing I regret? I was an engineer at NASA for all my life, and I had some ideas I want to do, and I keep saying, next year I'll do it, next year I'll do it, next year. I never did. Now, I could fool anybody, but I cannot fool myself. It bothers me, and it's too late. Guess what I did? Next day I quit my job. I did not even tell my wife. I quit, and I went to my wife, and I said, I quit today. And she goes, and who is paying? I was like, well, we'll figure out. So I quit, and I started another company. 2 more guys with no money and nothing. So just risk it. It's, and you learn also, you fail in life. It's okay. You fail in life, and while failing, I learned so many things, because the failure, عندنا مثل في الجزائر يقول لك كي تعود رايحة كي تعود جاية تجيبها شعرة وكي تعود رايحة تقطع السناسل. So if it's a good, successful company, everything is going fine and you don't learn very much. If it's a failure, you learn so much. It's unbelievable. So I like my second company, or third one, whatever. I learned so much because I started it exactly when the economy collapsed. The town, and nobody wanted to deal with me, and nobody, the company stopped investing. And lucky, I got lucky, Samsung bought it. So we sold it to Boston and Samsung. And by that time, my company asked me back, the first company I told you that we started it, because they needed a CTO and they want to go public. So they want me back. So I went back, and we started developing, we wanted to improve, like in the phone, we want to make more money out of the phone. So we developed technology for the cameras, how the camera will work, how do you manufacture it. So we reached where we have about 35% of the world market of cameras. Then we started expanding. We got a lot of money. We make about $300 million a year in royalties. And we start collecting money. The investors start asking for their money back because they don't want the money to be in the bank. So we start buying companies. So we bought a company for $1 billion just last year, and other companies. So we bought one that does your camera. If you take the picture, you have that square and yellow square and the red eye detection. Those are all ours. 3D radio that goes in the US, it goes in your car. We bought that one. We bought a lot of stuff. And sound. It's not like we are buying. You can imagine what we are doing here. We bought sound. We bought image, electronics. Where are we heading? Heading for the fourth industrial revolution, which is all the sensing things, right? So it cost us about $1 billion or so. So this is my company. I did, in fact, first two, this semiconductors, and the last thing, this used to be called Tessera. That's the one we started. The guy who spent the $30 million for us got $2 billion back. So it pays to do invest high risk. And we bought those, so I'm responsible only for those two. Here some of the, look at the bottom. Our technology, PlayStation, whatever, memories, everything, over 100 billion chips sold using our technologies. In the technology we are developing today, which is the 3D technology, if you are familiar with electronics, all electronics is 2D. It's all made in 2D. We are developing a technology that's the 3D electronics, and it's already being used today. It's interconnect technologies. It's already in about 1 billion smartphones. And the other stuff, I don't have very much myself to do with them, but there's other department, 2 billion devices and all that. So you can succeed even if you came from a small village in the middle of the Sahara Desert. So we also trying to solve Moore's Law. So we're developing all these technologies and we are hoping that our technology will be driving all these objects. In fact, most of them are using our technologies. Now I get out of this telling you about myself. Hopefully it was at least enlightening to some of you. And please, I mean, why I'm telling this story is you are like me. I was in your shoes or in your seat many years back. And I didn't know what I was doing and all that. But if you really have a good education and you step out of the government is going to give me a job, what am I going to do, all that stuff, you have to get out of it. Start to think about what problem the society has, can I solve it? And what can I solve? A problem, it doesn't work for everybody. It's work for those who cannot sleep at night or take long showers. Whichever. Anyway, so I will go and talk a little bit about startups. Startups, a lot of people tell me, I have an idea. Everybody has an idea. Everybody in his whatever has an idea. Ideas is the easiest thing to have in life. If you don't have an idea, there is something wrong with you. I mean, you could walk in the street. I mean, for me, I tell, whenever my wife said, these spots, I wish I tell her, this is an idea, file it. So if something looks awkward for you to do or unable to do, there is a patent behind it, there is an idea behind it. Whether you make money or not, or it's already out or not, that's another story. But at least, I'm telling you, ideas are bound, so it's not the idea that's important. I mean, the idea, you need to have a good idea. A lot of you will ask the same question is, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody because people will steal my idea and the patent office who will talk to you, the lawyers who will steal it. Let me tell you, none of us is smart enough to know everything. So, if you wait, somebody is going to find it. You are lucky you had an idea ahead of time, so you are blessed. 6 months later, max, it's known about 6 months. If you have an idea, you didn't do anything about 6 months later, it's gone. So don't think about, I have an idea and I sit and it's a weekend thing. It's after hour thing. I'm going to work it in after hour. That doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. So I talked to you about the hype ideas. If you are developing a startup, you don't want to be at the beginning of the hype, you want to be at the end of the hype. Otherwise, you'll do all that work, you fail, and somebody takes over after you and succeed. Try not to fall in love with your idea. And this is it's very crucial because if you fall in love with your idea, anybody who comes to talk to you say, no, you're wrong. The formula says, and that's wrong. You have to be able to say, because you're risking your life, you have everybody who tell you something and it sounds like it's a problem, maybe there is a problem. You'd rather talk to the guy that figure out the problem and stop rather than hide it behind the curtain and keep continuing. Team. Team is more important than idea. I really believe that team is better than ideas. There's a company in the boom time, in .com time, in the 2000, there's a company called jnet.com, if I'm not wrong, or whatever, went public with 4 guys with the promise, and it's really in their S1, they say, we have no idea, but we have a great team, and we know we'll come up with something. And people invested in them. Why? Because they are right people. They have what it takes They know they can succeed. That's what you want. So anybody in a team, if you come to me and you want to be CEO, everybody wants to be CEO, right? So you want to be CEO and your wife is a vice president of something and your brother is something else, it's a no-no. A team, anybody in the member of that team has to have a contribution to that company, really contribution. So don't be afraid that you have to know what you are good at. I started a company, it's my company. I don't want to be CEO. I don't know how to lead very well. But I know how to do electronics, I know how to develop things, so I became a VP of engineering. Somebody else. But number one thing, you have to have a marketing guy. The guy that knows the market, knows how to write your business plan. Don't try to make all the money by yourself. 100% of zero is zero. 10% of a big number is quite very good. So bring people, have them share with you the wealth. Make something successful. Don't look for the money, look for the success. So team is very, very important. So if you have a team, before you start, a marketing guy that understands the market, understands where your market is going, how big, why people will invest, that's very, very important. So please, first thing is the team, the market. You develop an idea. It's good. Then you go and say, how big is my market? How many people are going to buy my product? Second question, that idea that I have, how are the people solving it today? Is their idea can continue still working, or there is a problem that they cannot continue with the way they're solving it? So you don't want to create something that already somebody has it. Unless they have it in another country, you want to do it in your own country, you have a protection, of legal protection, then market is very important. You have to have the size of the market, what you are doing, who is going to use it, how much it's going to cost when you sell it. If I'm going to make a phone, I know how to make phones. I really know how to make phones. And if I make a phone that costs $2,000, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, nobody's going to buy it. So I have to be able to make something. If it is the phone is going to be costing the same thing, it looks like this one, why am I doing it? Because it's already in the market. So I have to be bringing something that appeals to the market for them to come to me. This I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be technology. It could be anything, any idea. Financing. Here's the crucial one. In the US, they have a saying, I like it. It's like, the saying goes, only stupid people invest in their own companies. And it's not because it's, there is a wisdom behind it. The wisdom behind it is, if I have a company, I have a business plan, and I go and show it to a businessman, they don't feel compelled to invest in it, probably there is something wrong with the business, with the idea. So having a business plan is basically a sanity check to your ideas. You could come in a time like me where the economy collapsed and nothing worked and no investment. But usually, if you don't get investors to invest, and the second thing is, when you come to somebody and say, give me $1 million, you have to show them that in 4 years, they're going to make 10x of that. They are not going to give you money for it. So put yourself in their shoes. They say, I'm here, you come to me and say, give me $1 million. And I say, okay, I'll give you $1 million. What am I going to get in 4 years? I don't know what they do. So please, as an engineer is, for me, an engineer who does only formulas is not an engineer. An engineer is somebody who knows how to sell themselves and sell their ideas. We don't form engineers who just go and have a boss tell them what to do. Anybody can do that. Business plan. Business plan is basically all these points I described. You have to put them in some PowerPoint or whatever. Some countries have different system. US system is based on a PowerPoint. You have to tally these ideas. This is how much I'm going to make it. This is my idea. This is the market. I want to penetrate this much. You're going to, Mr. Investor, you're going to be $1 million, and you're going to make $20 million a year. And this is how they are. If you cannot reach to convince this one, try to find a good mentor that will help you, a good marketing person, because that's how you create sustainable business that brings wealth to the country. And the final is startup is a full-time commitment, not a weekend job. I have a lot of friends, and I have nothing against professors at the university. I have a lot of friends that are professors, and they have ideas. Usually they have very good ideas, but they sit on them. So I'm going to work on it probably next year. I might stop 6 months and do it. I'll work on the weekend on it. It just doesn't work. If I tell professors, if you have very good ideas, best thing to do, give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else and get percentage of the company and let them go with it. Why do you have to be involved? There's nothing that says you have to be involved. I just looked for the student here. I started looking at the future jobs. And these are the top 10 skills that are required in 2015. And this is 2020. Do you notice something? Everything is going cognitive. So you start to think where things are going. So at least you start, when you're studying in that perspective. It doesn't mean every business has to go this way, but at least the electronic business and all this is going this way. And why I show this one is I'm going to go in my fourth industrial revolution and impact. If I bore you with the fourth industrial revolution, so bear with me. Probably it's not as interesting as my village. So we have 4 industrial revolutions. Probably you all know about them. First one, second one, third one, and I will go in a little bit detail in each one of them. Just to, the first one is in 1789. It's based on steam, and that's the time when they did the mechanical equipment. Everything worked mechanically. 1870, the second revolution, and that's where the labor was divided. People who start making iron, weaving, and electricity just came in. Mass production, people doing mass productions. 1969, a beautiful place. I should have put my slide here, my village and my phone, because that was the time. When the third industrial revolution was happening, I had no electricity. So in the third revolution is 1969, electronic came in, IT came in, and automated production. And all these, now we know how to define them after the fact, right? At that time, nobody knows how to define them, right? And you realize why. The fourth industrial revolution was supposed to start at around 2010. And because we didn't know how to define it, we give it too many terms. And let me explain it in a very simplistic way. It's a fusion, you're going to tell me this is sound gibberish. It's a fusion of cyberspace and physical space. What it means is nowadays, up to today, when we do something, we give a command to the computer to do something. I push the button for something to happen. Everything is I started, right? the fourth industrial revolution, you will have sensors all around it that knows about us, our behavior, our sense, our visions, what we do, our experience. It's all there. And it will be helping us in how we live our lives. That's the direction where things are going. If I can describe it a little bit simpler, more graphic, is in the past, we have computers, the information is there. A long time ago, we go to the library to get information. Then the computer came, we have a computer that connects to, I think it's a library, Google, somewhere. And we connect to it to get the information. Now, still we are connected like an umbilical cord. The fourth is we live inside the computer. The computer is like a mesh of all these things happening around it. We'll be walking inside of it. Clear? A little bit? And this to happen, at least at this stage, we don't understand it very well. But at this stage, we think these are some of the parameters that needed. IoT, Internet of Things, AI and machine learning, 3D printing, autonomous objects, virtual reality, nano and bioengineering, and especially security. So they think these are critical. I guess in 20, 30 years, we'll have only one line defining it like the other one, because we know which one is the biggest problem. So let me explain. You have seen all this product. What is an IoT? An IoT is basically just a sensor that you put it there, a camera, sense temperature, sense weather, it looks at me whether I smile or not, whatever. And it senses, it takes a decision, and it's a local thing. That's it. And they want to have a lot of them around the world, scattered all around the world, and each one of them is taking stuff from us. Except this business is huge. It's $4 to $11 trillion. The semiconductor business today is $500 billion. This is easily 4 to 5 times, or even 10 times bigger than all the electronics. So it's going to be running everything. And of all these businesses, you're going to see factories are going to be big because it's going to be automating the factories, where the factory is going to be they learn from themselves. The second one is going to be the human and health fitness, where we have watches, we have things, and for health reasons. And the third one is cities. Cities today are islands. Every department is working for themselves. All these are going to be connected to each other, and AI is deciding, oh, this sewer is broken, cut the road from the other side, the water should not there, send the car from the other. All this will be automated, done. That's how the city will be running. Thanks to all of us, we keep putting our pictures on the web and uploading in the cloud and sending our data on the cloud and all these. We created something that people did not predict. Is why do we learn how to think? It's because for the first 2 years or 3 years of our life, we are learning, right? We're learning, this is your father, this is your uncle, you shouldn't touch this one, it will burn. You should not trust this guy. So for 2 years, we're training. So you need that training. Same thing with machines. Needs a lot of data to train to come up with something good. And guess what? We are the one that made it possible because we gave all this data to Google and all Amazon and all these. So we allow them to be able to come up with AI and all that. In the top of it is the hardware got developed. So there's an explosion of data is happening, whether it's car, fraud, whatever, data is everywhere. So what happened is the IoT that used to be only a small object connected to it, sense something, start missing everything. It has sensors, it has connectivity to the sky, it has computing, storage, where everything gets stored. Somehow it has security, they tell you, I'm not sure, but it's missing one thing, intelligence. And AI does that. So once you put intelligence on it, that thing starts treating things, giving it to the other guy, giving it to the other guy, and suddenly everybody is intelligent around us, and we are living in the middle of it. It starts telling you, oh, this is, and it's very interesting. You give them a picture, and they will tell you what it is. I mean, you are at the university, you know these things better than I do. What am I teaching? I make chips for those things. So it recognizes things even it has not seen, so which is very interesting. And I started talking and saying that if you look, now we have all this huge data around us, but we have no access to it. Because what is our access? Is we're in a phone and we are typing, right? Our bandwidth is limited by our fingers typing. So to know more about the world, we have to figure out somehow to access this information at a higher bandwidth, higher flow. So that thing has to recognize my face, has to send data directly to my brain, probably. So we need to communicate differently. So we have to increase that bandwidth. And with vision, with smell, with touch. So that's what is happening. So all it is you have all this data around us, and we have to figure out a way how to increase the bandwidth for us to. So before the bandwidth, you look at it before, we have to go to the library to get something, right? The bandwidth is even worse. You have to get in the car and drive to the library, get the card and get those things. And Google made it a little bit easier. You go to the computer and you search, but still limited to your fingers. And now suddenly all this stuff is flying around us, and we sense it, and we have to increase this connectivity to us. Most houses, probably all of you hate, you have so many remote control, one for the car, one for the TV, and one for, I don't know, they are for the furnace. And that's because we are connected one piece at a time. That's not where we are going. We are going in, this is where we are today. Everything we are connected, it is isolated. We're going to be like this. All these things around us, when I enter the room, the first thing that happens, guess what? It knows I take a shower right away, so the shower starts to warm up. Right? And hopefully my wife doesn't bother me. So I want to cook something, and I will tell my wife, I want something. Automatically the fridge will say, oh yeah, the ingredients are here, you are missing meat. So you want to put something in the microwave, and it knows automatically you have a broccoli in your plate. It knows exactly the time it has to put there. These are the things, what I say, is the environment will know how to help you deal with your life. If I start coughing, start telling me, probably I should get you an appointment with the doctor. I just talked to the doctor. This is where things are going to. In cities, today cities are islands. Every department, if they are good enough, their one department is fully automated within themselves. But to be big is this thing is going to be all in net connected to each other. You say, oh, this is good, but there is a problem, security. And who is running the whole thing? Who is making all this chip? This is where the problem is. But there's two ways of doing these things. And this is going to be a big decision. There are few companies that are going one way, there are few companies. There's companies that believe all this will be done in the cloud. Right? Now, if you take your phone and you talk to it, or you show it a picture, the picture gets uploaded to the sky, it goes somewhere, it gets treated, come back and give me the answer, right? So whose benefits is Google with some phone company. Those are the guys that make the money. But they took all the data from me. In the future, I have zero control. They can direct my life. They can even direct the whole society in what they know their behavior. They can even control everything. There is another group, they say, no, we should do AI on the edge. And AI in the edge is you make the chip that, for example, in my house, I will have it, it's going to be connected to all the IoTs and stuff in my house. It does the AI inside my house. It keeps the raw data. And if there is anything it's going to send, it just only send the result. So it's up to scientists like you and people to figure out. I am more of the believer that we should go on the edge, but it's not up to me. It's up to society how it goes. There are a lot of decisions people will make it, but at the end is the big brother decide or how we follow. And the way we follow could be dangerous. Then I'll go to the next step of this. I'm going to go through a few of them. I call it the XR.
Can just watch the time a little bit.
Huh?
If we can just watch the time.
Okay. I go fast?
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to get lost. So virtual reality is basically, I believe this one might be the very good technology. The hardware is not there yet, but this could be a helper to third world countries, I believe personally. So I don't want to go too much in detail. People have thought about it, especially when they start looking at the phone. The phone was big, started to get smaller, then it started getting bigger. Then people said, oh, yeah. If we have it in the screen, I can get rid of my phone. We are schizophrenic in behavior. We want the phone to be small, but at the same time, it has a big screen. So you can imagine how. People start thinking about this is the VR. Basically, you don't see anything outside. The AR is more of you see the outside and you superpose things on top of it. The mixed reality is you put something, then that virtual thing you adjust it and you move it by hand. It's virtual. People start doing that as a business, by the way, in the US. Some people are, in fact, I tried it with a friend of mine, I want to fix some wires in the house. I have my phone, and I look at the wire, and he look at them on the other side, and he tell me, this wire, you should move it to here. So he can, and people start now doing their services through AR. The other one is autonomous vehicle, is the cars. Basically, they look at driving is being dealt with. Let's have it automated. And there is a different aspect to it is, do we really need each one of us a car if a car will come every time we want it? So we reduce the number of cars. And in fact, you look at my car, I use it for half an hour in a day. Why do I need the car? And my wife needs it for half an hour. If I can be out there and I'm going to go home, the thing calls and it shows up in front of me, I go home and that's it. So if there is enough cars available, we don't need cars, all of us, and that could be a big reduction in cars. So the fact that Google's and these people are looking in these directions. Robots are invading our lives. They're everywhere. I'm not going to go. In fact, the top one, I just want to tell you, I was in the hospital. I had surgery in my back. I broke my back. So I was having a big surgery. And that robot, in fact, similar to that one, came to me. I was like, get the hell out of here. You are not going to do an injection here. I want a human being. So, all these you are familiar. In fact, you can fool even birds. They have another bird fly with it, and they would not. Guess what? Who knows? Probably we'll have some national soccer teams that are all robot, right? Then whoever has the best AI wins. Drone is another one that plays very good, and I believe drone nowadays are everywhere. They have a huge application, from pizza deliveries to, in fact, these are good for getting injection to animals. They're in a way you have to catch them, give them an injection. So agriculture and everything. 3D printing probably does not match exactly, but that one, it goes in the revolution because you have 3D houses built. In fact, somebody wants to build in my backyard a house for free. He asked me because they want me to, I live in a relatively expensive neighborhood. So they want to build a house in my backyard for free if I can let other people come and see it. So as like an advertisement, it just happened that my backyard, the entrance is too small, so they could not get in. So. Houses, if they have the heart, ears, so all these things are coming. So, and my conclusion is going to be very simple. I give you these, and this one is for the student. This is a story. This picture, when I was 12, remember that village when I was 12, I had this idea of a game. I made a game and started playing with my cousins. But all of them made fun of me. My cousins and everything, like, let's play, this is a geography game. I really liked it, but everybody didn't believe in it. So I forgot the idea, and I stayed in the back of my mind. When I finished my PhD, I started it again. I put it, started playing with people there, and it turned out everybody loves it. National Geographic want to take it. And finally, Ravensburger took it as a game. It sells all over the world, and I get 5% royalties on it. I sold millions on it. Why am I taking it? I'm not bragging about it. There's one thing, if you have a dream, don't let it go. Doesn't matter, it could stay for 20, 30 years. Stick with it. One of these days, it will pay off. And thank you.
Thank you very much. شكرا جزيلا Professor بلقاسم.
Sorry if I took too long.
بالعكس مثل ما خبرتكم like we said, like I promised, Professor Bלقاسم is full of very inspiring stories, and I really hope that the students, the entrepreneurs, and the academicians will walk away with the very interesting things that you said. If you have a dream, it will happen even after 20 and 30 years. Some of the other messages is that if you don't break any eggs, you will not make an omelet. And also make sure you take long showers, even if your wife complains. And so many other lessons. But
my wife is not here, so you can say it.
I hope she doesn't see the recording later. This is your time. I think if it's fine, we will have a few minutes for questions and answers. This is your chance to exchange ideas and thoughts about what are your dreams, what are your ideas, what are your thoughts from the career of Professor Bلقاسم Habba. Please. Can I start there? Let's take a couple of questions and then maybe.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Doctor, for this inspiring and knowledgeable presentation. I think we learned lots today, and we should prepare for the future from now. My question is, are we ready in the Middle East with the coming 3 years? And what is the coming fields for us? I know in the world they are starting already, but what about us? This is my question. Thank you.
ممكن بس طالب ولا رائد أعمال؟
أنا رائد أعمال. كلنا طلاب علم إن شاء الله.
شكرا جزاك الله خير. إذا ممكن ناخذ سؤالين آخرين بالعربية أو باللغة الإنجليزية. أخ أحمد. الاسم الكريم تذكرنا؟ سائل؟ فائز.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much, Professor. It's inspiring and awe-inspiring, to be honest. My name is Ahmed al-Shagra. I'm an educational technology founder here based in Oman. So it might be a bit adjacent to the topic mentioned, but what's your take on the software patent debate in the world today? The software patent debate on whether software should be patented the same way hardware is. Just your opinion.
ممكن ناخذ سؤال ثالث حد هنا. نبدأ بالأخ أحمد. أخ فايز بعدين الأخ أحمد. Where do you think we are in the Middle East?
I don't look at this. The question is defeatist the question, I don't like to look at me as, to look at myself as in the bottom of things, right? We should learn to know that we are capable to do things. Now, what to do is another story. What to do is, for me, the way I look at things is, forget about what I study, what field. If I start counting what my field I started with, I have never worked in that field. I started in solar energy. I never touched solar energy all my life. It was probably a waste to do that with PhD. So, but what's important is the tool that you have learned something, right? And the tools of the team of players that are around you. That's what's important. You create, then is solving the problems. That's all you need to do, is you look at the problem. What problem, if we are in the Middle East, well, I mean, we are not at the beginning, we are not trying to solve the problem of, let's solve our problems, right? I am from the Algeria, south of Algeria, Sahara Desert. I will give an example I always bring. My father is a fellah, tamar. So in my village, start growing trees. We have 1 million trees in my village, a little bit more than 1 million trees. We have about 40,000 people there. The harvest, I mean, you know very well what dates. The harvest happened in 3 months. And the people who climb the trees, we don't have enough people to climb the tree to cut those million trees. Nobody is going to come from outside to solve those problems, and nobody solved it up to date. Now it's becoming so expensive to find somebody to claim because everybody that's capable to climb to cut the trees are already taken during that period. They are not rich to buy tools that, in America they have the tool that goes and you climb, and we don't have the money. Those they barely can survive to do that. So what are we doing? So let's start solving our own problem that exists under our feet. And each country has its own problems. This problem might not be the problem probably in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait. They have money, so they can buy those things. In Sudan or in Algeria, they cannot do that. So everybody has to have a solution to their problem. So I really believe we start looking is, if we tackle problem that we have, we'll go further. But if we are trying to feel hopeless and feel that, oh, we are way behind, we'll never get anywhere. And I will add always, I say, as a country, we should have a plan on what to do. The country itself, what do we specialize in? What are we good at, right? We are not the US with the $1 trillion market cap, and you can do a lot of businesses and all this small country. So we have to look at the country and say, okay, we have to specialize in this. Our target is we're going to be good in these things. Let's make our students study in this field and tell them if you come up with startup in this field, we're going to finance you. Don't let the student to decide what to, I mean, anybody who has an idea will do like a point in space. It does not create a strategy for a country. So it's a twofold. Hopefully I answered your question.
أشكر بروفيسور. وكان سؤال الأخ أحمد عن البيتنت controversy and software.
Software, patenting software. Software cannot be patented unless software is considered as like you write a book, is copyright. You patent it only if you have an algorithm that your software is based on, and you can prove somebody else is using it, you're using the algorithm. So you can patent the algorithm, the technique that you're using. If you can prove somebody else who has done it differently, they have to have written the software, but this is the algorithm. Then you can do a patent. I have done patent in software, even though I know nothing about software.
شكرا دكتور. سؤال آخر.
I want a question from this side. And when I was talking the whole time, I know English language, when it says you, it's not definitive, but I meant أنتِ وأنت.
سؤالي راح يكون باللغة العربية. دكتور، طبعا أنا أعجبتني البداية عندك، يعني عندما قلت أن الآخرين في الغرب وثقوا في أكثر من ثقتي في نفسي. إذا نحن لا نعاني في العالم العربي من نقص في أعداد المبتكرين، ولكن نعاني من وجود بيئة تحتضن هؤلاء المبتكرين. فما هي نصائحك لتحويل مجتمعاتنا إلى مجتمعات ترعى المبتكرين والموهوبين؟ وما هي الخطوة الأولى التي يجب أن نبدأ بها؟ شكرا.
Very good question. Very good question. First, we don't believe in ourselves. It comes from a whole sway of things. In my family, if my dad says something, nobody can respond. When my grandfather says it has to be done this one, it has to be done that way. So we have a society that has this hierarchical thinking, but that should not be the problem. The problem is there is no ecosystem. When you create startups and all this, is not something that's bound to the West mentality or whatever. It will work anywhere where you give it. هذيك الشجرة تعطي الماء والتربة شجرة تنبت. So it's, can we create the ecosystem? And what I mean by ecosystem is, first, you have to have a good education, right? Then you have to have a financing. That's not based on, that's why I have always tell people I do not believe in, when you do financing of startup, it should not be governmental startup. I'm sorry, I have nothing against government. I'm a capitalist at heart, is because when the government is trying to finance people, they have to do equities in the society. They have to pay somebody Adam, whatever, somebody Salam, and somebody, they have to give to everybody, and they have to balance these political things. Startup and business is not democratic. It's idea. Who has the idea will get it. If even though all of them come from the same village, they all get it. So it has to be a private, it's not, especially the finance has to be from the private sector that looks at the good of the country and the good of the ideas. So an ecosystem will work. And then, I don't know about here, but at least in my country, and I'm not trying to whip the Algerian government here, Algerian country, is if you make something, you have to have, the society has to buy it. If I make a software and I go to a company in Algeria and say, I have this software, they would not buy it from you. That's a big problem. So we don't trust ourselves. If I'm in Algeria and I go out, probably if I put a suit like this one, they might buy it from me. But يعرفوا منين جيت ولا من. So it's very important that we reach that mentality, that giving the chance to people that are like us. And if we have not reached that psychological things, it's not the gray matter that matters, or it's the belief in ourselves. And also the education system, we have to educate people, educate people to fail, go and do it, don't be afraid, mentoring people, encourage them to do. Those are what I learned, at least in what I was doing. If we don't do that, we sit and I realize, and I don't know about here, but at least in back home, we grew up in a system that's more of a socialist system for a while, and we learn to depend that everything is given to us. House is given to us. Hospital is free. Things are, education is for free. If you do everything for free, then you sit down and say, oh, I'm not getting enough. Oh, they have to find me a wife. So when you start to do this, you are killing already the creativity of people. Why would people create if you give them everything for free? Yeah, so we have to be here going, okay. Yeah, so there is a trust and there is, so I can understand the students saying, I'm lost here. What? I was there, I was in a worse situation, but I encourage you to struggle, go through the problems, and if you think I had my share of problems, I had big problems in my life, but back off, everybody, I always tell a joke, and sorry, you realize that I tell a lot of jokes, because I believe they represent my life. I believe in myself, that in my life, there are a lot of people when they play poker. Have you played poker, guys? Probably haram. When you play poker, a lot of people get aces and kings and queens. In my case, I get 2s and 3s. So you deal with the hand that was dealt to you, and you work with it. Not all the people are equal. And remember, if I got 4 3s, nobody can beat me in poker. For those who know poker. So, just we deal with it, and we try to solve a problem that exists. I think that probably is more philosophical than.
شكرا بروفيسور. تفضلي السؤال بعدين نسأل.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Shukran, Doctor, على presentation. I actually have 2 questions, if you allow me. The first one is about the patent. What are the steps that we can get it? For example, if I have an idea to solve a problem, should I talk to a close friend about it? Should I find like a company that might be interested in this, like investors or something? And then how can I make it succeed and I get a patent for that?
Mm-hmm.
The second question is about the 4th industrial revolution. I believe it will, of course, it will solve the human problems and it will be really good. But the thing is, I'm just wondering, what about the human skills, like thinking skills? And if these technologies will do everything for me, then how can I learn from, sometimes we learn from trials and errors. We need to practice things to understand that this is wrong and this is right. And if it will tell me the meat is missing, I don't even think that, or I don't drive. So are scientists studying these currently? Because it will definitely have like negative effects on humanity. Are these considered or not?
Okay.
Thank you.
The first question was, if you have an idea what to do. Okay, I think I talked a little bit, but if you have an idea, it's a crucial, first you do your search. I know Google, people are afraid that if you type anything in Google, Google will already have the AI in the back, and they know exactly what you are thinking. But let's not be that cynical, because Google, your idea might be too small for them to worry about. So at least for me, what I do, and I'm based in the US, so slightly different. I don't know about the patent office here. In the US, there is something called the provisional patent, where for $100 or $200, I submit it, dates. All they say is, this, you send me this paper, we'll put it in the closet, and it has the date you send it. And you have 18 months for it, 1 year to 18 months. Then go and talk to whoever you want. The idea is yours, nobody's gonna steal it. So you go and talk and all these, but you have 18 months. At 18 months, you come back and you say, do I need to file it? If you find somebody who's gonna use the idea, and you go, I'll file it. Then you file it, and they give you the date, the original date. Right? After you submit it, it takes 1 month. You get that paper, then you can talk. But they protect you only in the US. This is a US thing, so you have to check here how to work. One important thing I see a lot of people making mistakes. They go and participate in these shows and these competitions, and All these are negating your patent. People don't know. Anything that goes public means your patent is void. So if you participate in a competition and you win, already your idea is void if you have not done the patent ahead of time. So you start with your patent first. So don't get fooled, because a lot of people, like, they go and say, I won the, I don't know what's this, Urido's patent show, and I want to patent it today. It's like, it's too late. It's public. So anything that went public and it's accessible, that you can see it at Google search, you cannot patent it, even if it is yours, your publication. The second question is?
Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. Let's go back to the third revolutions. In the third revolution, I remember a long time ago, probably you were not born then, we used to, there with this automation of machines and all these, all the workers are going to lose their job and all. There used to be fear about 30 years ago or something, 20 years ago. It was absolutely, everybody was frightened of the third revolutions. Did it happen? Yes. But did people lose their job? No. What people is, society will readjust these people to other jobs. So I will tell you is, don't try to learn jobs that are meaningless at the bottom. Try to take jobs that are in the upper level. How to fix robots, how to develop software for them. So yeah, it's a little bit higher than this technology.
شكرا دكتور. السؤال الأخير.
السلام عليكم.
السلام.
أميرة البسعيدي, هيئة تقنية المعلومات. I have two questions. One, you have spoken about the best, creating a team, and it is the most important thing. How to make sure that everyone in your team will stay committed and will stay with you? What are the ways, like maybe distributing shares, or I don't know. And also you have spoken about involving investors. So within the team and investor, how you can balance all these things. Another question is about you. You have said, I am researcher and entrepreneur. So how you had balanced this? Like you didn't go deeply in as a researcher and you forget that you are entrepreneur or not. What you have done?
You have to.
Yes. The first question.
I guess with age you lose your hearing.
لا ما شاء الله عليك بروفيسور شباب القلب. The first question was about the team. You emphasized the importance of team. How you keep them? What incentives keeps them committed?
Incentive? Shares. They have to. If you bring a team player and you give him as many shares as you are getting, they become like you. They become, and you give to them. There is some formulas you give them on a year basis. Like I'm going to give you 10% of the company, for example, over 4 years, right? And every month you work, you get accumulate these, right? They have to stay. If they want to quit at any time, they get only the percentage they own. So getting people in where they have a stake at something that's where you get people committed. If you just bring them so they can work for you, why would they bother?
And how do you balance between being a researcher and an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur, for me, the word entrepreneur sounds like I'm building houses. Entrepreneur for me is, I look at technology and I try to figure out, is this technology going to solve the problem in society? And what I should spend on it, how long it's going to take, all that. So it's more of a research-oriented thinking than I have nothing against putting bricks. I used to be a mason myself.
ما شاء الله دكتور. أعتقد أنه هذه فرصة طيبة، على الأقل عرفنا شوية لمحة من الأفكار ومسيرتك وعملك، وأيضا جانبك مش فقط العلمي والمعرفي، لكن جانبك المرح أيضا في قص القصص وأحسن القصص. في ختام هذا الحوار البسيط نشكر كثير البروفيسور بلقاسم حبة على هذا الوقت الثمين والغالي. نشكر أيضا جامعة السلطان قابوس على احتضان هذا الحديث. نشكر هيئة تقنية المعلومات على أنهم أعطونا هذه الفرصة أن نتعرف أكثر على الضيف الغالي، ضيف جائزة سلطان قابوس للإجادة الإلكترونية. مشكورين جميعا على الحضور. نشكركم، وإن شاء الله سبحانه وتعالى تكون هذه بداية لجلسات أخرى بإذن الله. في كلمة أخيرة تحب تقولها بروفيسور؟ أي كلمة أخيرة؟ ما تحب تخبرنا سر من أسرار المغير ولا؟
لا.
شكرا جزيلا وجزاكم الله خير. مشكورين.
بلقاسم، السلام عليكم. اهلا. واشتراك عاش من سيرك، واشتراك مرحبا بك. اشتراك لاباس.
على الدكتور حاج.
لا قريب لي. انا ما كانش عندي تريسيتي.
اهلا بك. معك مسعود من سكيقدا.
اهلا مشرفين. انا راجل من تقريبا انا من هنا. كنت راعي في التابع.
جيت بلادك يا سيدي. جيت بلادك.